A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. It's a midweek edition of the program, and we're right here to ensure you have the best of time on a breakfast program. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma.
Well, it's a beautiful and colorful Wednesday morning, and we hope to bring some color into your homes, your offices, wherever you're joining us from on the program today. It's your perfect morning starter on Channels Television. The Morning Brief. I am Bwala Koka, blessed among women. Sorry, men, this morning. Hi, Kadi. Hi, Jeffrey.
I don't know when I became a woman, but I'm a bona fide
well,
man.
I know that you're going to jump on that.
Original.
These things happen from time to time. But good morning. Welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikulu. We're glad at least we're able to infect you with some laughter. I think that's something you need now more than ever before, right?
Well,
so thank you, Bwala. Yes, we're men, but
may laughter never be scarce in our lives.
Well, let me re-emphasize, I'm a man, follow come.
What
Jeffrey.
What does that even mean?
Did you have to emphasize that? Isn't it clear?
These days you have to, because you may never know what you're up against. Because what are you tracking, by the way?
Well, there's quite a lot. The week started off on a note of surprises, of course, with Kayade's resumption, and it appeared as if...
That was not a surprise. That was expected.
Well, expected from us on this side of the divide, not necessarily on the other side. And it seemed as if the surprises were not going to end anytime soon with the resignation of the Minister of Defense and then the visit of the former Chief of Defense Staff to Mr. President. And what came through in the last 12 hours or so is an announcement by Mr. President, well, notifying the National Assembly of the nomination of the former Chief of Defense Staff as Minister of Defense. Of course, this has come through with a lot of commendation from those reacting to the story in the mainstream media and, of course, in the online media. And we know the circumstances surrounding the exit from office of the former Chief of Defense Staff, along with other, service chiefs in that rank at the time. Of course, the military coup that was denied unconvincingly and unsuccessfully by the administration, for which the military said 16 officers failed their exams, but that was not quite, convincing. And then we saw the reshuffling in the rank and file of the service chiefs at the time. So one wonders, is this a form of vindication for the former Chief of Defense Staff if indeed the alleged coup did take place? And a lot has been said about how fine an officer he is and the experience that he will bring to the table as Chief of Defense Staff. So we'll look forward to the screening of General Christopher Musa, and of course we can only hope that this season of insecurity will be approached with a lot of professionalism as he brings his experience to bear, and there will be significant changes in the fight against terrorism. But beyond that, it will be approached with vision such that, insecurity can be tackled strategically, with a lot of strategy and with a lot of resources, funding, the deployment of the huge budget, that we have to defense will be applied such that, we'll have results in an enduring manner, and Nigerians can, rest easy as far as that challenge is concerned. Guys, I wonder if that came as a surprise to you as well.
Well, initially, when they were sacked, or sorry, not sacked now, when their time expired and the president, reshuffled the cabinet, some of us were surprised as to some of the decisions that were taken.
They were sacked.
I'm just careful with my words. Anyway, the most important part is that not one person, not just Christopher Musa, the general, can do this alone. It has to be a collaborative effort. The president is still the commander-in-chief. The chief of the service chiefs, they are still going to be the boots on the ground. He is going to be at the policy and intelligence level, coordinating with the NSC and all of that. So we hope that this rejigging can in fact give a little bit of stronger morale to the men and women of the armed forces of the Federal Republic. I know that he will command way more respect than the people that were there or still there, whether it's Bello Matawale or Badari, just an expert call thing, because he's served at the highest level. So we just hope. I think the most important thing for Nigeria is, however you want to do this, let the killing stop. That's what Nigerians want. However, the killing can go down or stopped entirely. It is the prayer and the expectation of all Nigerians. So a welcome development. General Christopher Musa is a fine gentleman, served his country. He's very... I think, again, I hope that they are not going to have ideological issues within the rank and file of the operations of the military. Because I see him as somebody who is very outspoken, quite bright. I don't think he's ready to talk about negotiating or all these peace corridors and all of that. I think if you're an enemy of the state, people like Christopher Musa sound to me like you're going to be neutralized. But there are other people that may say, okay, maybe non-kinetic measure and all of that. So at this time, what do we need? Is it kinetic or non-kinetic? That is at their level to make a decision. What we at this level, on this part, want to see is reduction or drastically no more killings. We can debate the other ones later. But besides what General Christopher is going to be screened by the, what do you call it now?
The Senate.
The Senate, eventually. I'm also expecting, I don't know, Bello Matawalle is still there. Is he going to still remain there, or they're going to excuse him? We're still watching this space. Because the truth is that if you're not doing well, you're not doing well, as far as I'm concerned. But maybe the president who appointed him has his parameter for measuring success, so we cannot speak for the president. He will be able to, he knows what he saw in them. But if we go from there, Kayode, to the issue of politics, I saw that the Turaki-led PDP has formally presented a certificate of expulsion to Nyesom Wike.
Is that even a thing? Certificate of expulsion?
That was quite a new terminology.
I think maybe it's in their constitution. I haven't seen it, but it's just so. But some people are saying...
A certificate is an honorary document. It's not a document
so what do we call that in the presented?
Glorify inglorification.
Is it a notification
or to confer inglorification on an individual?
I don't know. But whatever that is, I'm just saying that they are doubling down on their decision to say, we don't want you here. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Go, and we wish you well in your endeavor.
Surprises will never see in Nigerian politics.
Ayodele Fayose. People are saying it should have happened like as long as yesterday. But anyway, that's where we are.
That's where we are.
Interesting days.
But we
PDP.
must say to the PDP, other political parties, read the room. Read the room. Yes, you can do your politicking, you can rearrange, but do not lose touch. Okay, do not lose touch of what is really happening, because that is what would then add to your political capital or not. So if everybody is facing Kafacha and you are facing Shaki, I mean, there will be issues, right? So great that they are trying to get their house in order, but as an opposition party, you must play the role of opposition as well as some of this, whether you call it primary or secondary issues. So that's just my advice. Read the room. But speaking of reading, let's take a look at what the front pages are saying this morning. And we have joining us on our program, Mr. Ayo Kerea, who is a member of Nigeria Guild of Editors, joins us virtually on the program. Mr. Kerea, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning to you. So let's get right into it. We're starting with the front page of Sport for Choice. But let's do the Guardian newspaper, because it touches on something that you'll expect during this period. By the way, it is December the 3rd, right? For a lot of people who may have lost touch with the dates as a result of different things happening. And this is a big story on the front page of the Guardian. Chaotic Yuletide travels loom as 15 airlines face 65% capacity dip. So this touches on travel, right? But then you can see right under that story, Mr. Kerea, is the PDP matter. PDP deepens purge, issues expulsion certificates to Wike, Fayose, and Yahoo others. I know of certificate of return, certificate for, you know, when you're done with school, WAEC certificate and all of that. But Mr. Kerea, expulsion certificate. Do you have an idea what's going on?
Well, I saw it yesterday on the thing. I saw the new lexicon, political report journal, when Sani Mustafa placed that I think what he was trying to do is that to clearly show to Nigerians that this is not acting, this is not willing to right, where taking the bull by the horn, he started by saying that I think that's the big bull in the house. So he wants to basically say that, look, I am the big terrorist now. There's somebody that is responsible in the city. So he took on wicked affairs, followed by fire. Because I don't know whether to call it former national president. I mean, it's an interesting time. We see how it proceeds from there when you then see a new chairman of taking the right decision. Some people have said that was what President when he came in, when he said something was wrong, the political will is right. Well, the governor of Osun State has just that from that's what he does. Also, that's not common. All of these are developing stories. But these are very, very.
Okay, Mr. Carrier, we'll come back to you in a moment so we can get a clearer audio from you and, of course, get all of the value from your points here. But you make some valid points here. But let's hold on to that for a moment and explore some other front pages on the program today. But as Mr. Carrier said, is quite novel. I don't know if it's in a good way, but really, it's interesting times for politics in Nigeria.
Quite an interesting time. For now, this is always a test of the leadership of any country, any administration, whether it's Nigeria or otherwise, because this is the primary responsibility of government. Every other thing you do can fall like a pack of cards if this is not sorted, and that has to do with national security. And that's why it's getting all of the attention it should get, because Section 14 is very clear on what government should do in protecting our citizens. If you fail on that, despite whatever it is else you do, you're seen as a failure. So that's why this is in the front burner. And I've mentioned this is going to be one of the true tests of President Bwala Tinubu's leadership as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic. So that's why it's not going away anytime soon, because abductions haven't stopped, the killings haven't stopped. It looks like all hell just broke loose. And, well, let's see whether I can get Mr. Carrier again on New Telegraph. New Telegraph is leading with, of course, insecurity issues. Insecurity will reclaim ungoverned spaces from non-state actors. Tinubu vows. The rider launches 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem. Hails troops' bravery. Military rescued 12 kidnapped victims in Borno after pre-dawn operation. So we can also see some success stories in between all of these abductions, releases, rescue, and all of that. 95% of bandits attacking Kano are from Katsina. That's according to Yusuf. Okay, interesting. Cross River panic as armed herders allegedly invade Catholic school in Bwala, local government area. Bandits attacking, abducting at will in Nigeria. Amnesty International. So at some point, it looks like chaos, coordinated chaos, false flag operation, or just a loss of control. Or there's so many, it's a mixed bag of many things, guys. So we hope that this Christmas we're going to have, hopefully, or this Yuletide season, we're going to have a better time, because the last few weeks, if you notice, it looks like something just sparked in the air, and we're seeing it's happening all over the place. So I feel that intelligence will play a key role first before military might, because how come these guys are able to be so successful? For abductions to happen, for a killing to happen, it's success for them. Our success now is going to rescue or getting them released or whatever nomenclature is being used, or they escape at the end of the day. So we must be ahead of these people. Intelligence is the only answer. Yeah. Where before they strike, we neutralize them. Before they do anything, we'll pick them up. That's why we double down on asking. If you release these people, whether in the people that carried out that dastardly act in Papri or Eruku or wherever, we want to know what happened to the abductors, because one of the things that is a problem for us as a country is the fact that there's no consequence for bad behavior. Until that happens, we will be joking as a people. And so it's important we know what happened to them. Were there a negotiation? Were they neutralized? Have they been arrested? Have they been prosecuted? We need to know all these things. Sometimes it's just about building public confidence. It's not, of course, it's not everything in security you can, say in the public because they are classified issues. But at this scale, the Nigerian people need to know. Let's see, Mr. Karega, if you can hear us, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. I can hear you.
Yeah, fantastic. We're better now. So we're just trying to catch up with you. So that's a headline, New Telegraph. Insecurity reclaimed ungoverned spaces from non-state actors. The president has promised. What do you make of his promise?
Well, it's interesting. Let me first of all say that I'm somewhere in my small village called Adeje in Delta State. I have to come by air. Nobody can travel by road again. So it is directly related, connected to this story we are having on the front page of the New Telegraph. These are very ugly times for the country when some people have decided. For me, the way I interpret all of this is that there are just some individuals that are determined to destabilize the Bwala Tinubu administration. Do not forget, on the onset of the administration, when ministers were nominated, there are individuals who threatened that they were going to serve the Bwala Tinubu administration, the Jonathan treatment, whatever that means really. So, but we are beginning to see all of that. But the good news for Nigerians this morning is that the president himself is not sleeping. He's taking the right decisions. He's reshuffling the security cabinet. He's holding daily security briefings with the security chiefs. And that's what Nigerians want to see. So he's taking the battle to the terrorists. I don't like calling them bandits. I have actually advised my colleagues, editors, that it is the right time to give them the proper tag. These are not bandits. These are terrorists who have invaded our country, and they are determined, to scuttle the democracy that many Nigerians work for. So for me, this is the right time to take on them. It is not only the president's duty. Every Nigerian should join the president to support the security forces to defeat this evil that has besieged our country. And I'm sure that Nigeria has the capacity to deal with them, giving the right instructions, and also working with foreign partners, the United States, France, and UK, providing intelligence from the air. I am sure that we will have the capacity to smoke them out. This is not Nigeria that we used to know.
Well, Mr. Kyria, you may be right by saying that the president is taking the right decisions, but what are the guarantees that those right decisions would lead to an end, or at least a reduction by 90% of the current security challenges that Nigeria is going through? The National Security Advisor met with the authorities of the church in Kontagora just 2 days ago, giving assurances that the children are safe and they will return. And that says to me that the federal government doesn't know where these children are. And if the U.S. government is saying we'll take equipment to the terrorist enclaves and exterminate them, they know where they are. If the U.S. government doesn't have concerns about the terrorists using human shields, why does Nigeria's federal government keep giving that excuse, Mr. Kyria? Doesn't that bother you? Oh dear, Mr. Kyria's network. But we hope to get him back this morning. But all these issues are related and captured in the other papers. I believe that Mr. Kyria is back again with us. Mr. Kyria, did you get my question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, if I get your question, you are saying why is Nigeria giving excuses? Well, I think it has to do with part of the strategy of the government in the past, reintegrating these terrorists into, maybe for those that are...
Oh dear, we hope to get Mr. Kyria back, but Mr. Kyria was talking earlier about decisions. Speaking of decisions, this Nigeria captures, the initial commentary that we started off the program with this morning. And take a look at this. Why Tinubu recalled ex-CDS Musa to Defense Ministry. And we have an insight into the reason provided by this Nigeria. That's the first rider there. Presidency opts for experience over experimentation. Senate tightens grip on security oversight as leadership appoints new committee chiefs. So the New Telegraph is saying the presidency opted for experience over experimentation. Mr. Keria, let's try this again. Are you back with us? Well, we hope that it gets better. But Jeffrey, earlier on you were saying that, this is a test for the Tinubu administration, and you cannot be more correct because our guest yesterday was speaking in very heavy tones when he said, Boko Haram was used by political conspirators under former President Goodluck Jonathan to unseat him, and that those are the people in government now. Those may be in the realm of allegations, but the president must prove that they're mere allegations, by deploying all the firepower to ensure that, security under his watch is tackled, insecurity is tackled, because you cannot ignore comments that the abductions of the Kebbi girls, the children from St. Mary's Catholic Church look like karma indeed for this current administration. So it's a big test for the Tinubu government. We need more assurances that there won't be another abduction tomorrow or the day after. And we hope that the St. Mary's children return home very soon, as the National Security Advisor has promised. That's what
the spokesperson of the president will be dealing with in the coming moments. And of course, that's part of where we'll start the conversation from. Whatever it is, even if it's a sabotage, whatever, I always advise politicians, be ready for even sabotage if it comes to your table. But Mr. Akaraga, thank you so much. He's a member of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Thank you for your expertise and bringing light to the headlines that we brought to the people this morning. We'll take a break now. When we come back, Mr. Daniel Bwala will be joining us speaking from the presidency about some of the issues that are being raised by Nigerians. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's begin with the conversation as far as it's a potpourri of issues, so we can look at it as the state of the nation. And we're going to be building that conversation from national security, which has been a big issue in the last weeks as far as the issues of insecurity is concerned. The abductions and the releases and more abductions and killings. It's just been a very chaotic situation. Well, there's been a back and forth in Congress, U.S. Congress subcommittee. The government has done some reshuffling. It's been a lot, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. So let's bring in our guest. Mr. Daniel Bwala joins us right here in our Lagos studios. He's the spokesperson of the president, or one of the spokespersons of the president, the special advisor to the president on policy communications. But Mr. Daniel Bwala is right here. Good to see you in Lagos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sadly, you're not talking policy communications today. We're talking national security today. Good to see you.
Thank you.
There's been a lot that's been going on. And one of the things that these things underscore is the inability, or perceived inability of government to protect our people. The killings, the abductions. I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that what happened in Niger State is even in scale is higher than what happened in Chibok, because we understand the numbers are over 300. That's what we understand. Right. We now have the Eruku incident. We had the Kebbi incident. So if you look at those numbers, right, of course, gladly, and thanks to God, we've had some return and releases, whichever name is used. But is the government concerned about the perception of the people on them, of its ability or otherwise to protect citizens? Let's begin from there.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The government is concerned not just about the perception, but about the realities of what the people are facing and encountering. It's actually a trying time in Nigeria in the sense that when, as a government, you see your citizens going through what they are going through, it will be a concern, because that is the sole aim or the sole purpose for your acceptance into that place in the first place, because the Constitution says that the responsibility of government is safety and security of the people. We also understand the dynamics of security problems, especially those who have been around. They will know that there are two theories behind incessant security problems in Nigeria. The first theory is that when election cycle is coming close, you find these kind of occurrences back to back like that. But there's even a stronger theory we see people, talking about lately, how that from the first outburst of Donald Trump, we began to see this back-to-back security situation, whether it is a case of trying to justify the case for military invasion in Nigeria. We don't look at it from that point of view. We know the dynamics and the complicated nature of the Nigerian demographic, right? We have ungoverned spaces like you rightly talked about when you started, in plenty places. The state of Niger is larger than a country in Europe. And in the northern Nigeria, which is different from what you find in southern Nigeria, where cities are very close to each other, in the northern Nigeria, from the city center to a local government, it's like you're traveling to another country. Large, expanse of land. There are no people there, no governing authorities. What the people have come to call ungoverned spaces. These are the places where these elements hide or they operate from. But fundamentally, asymmetric warfare usually is very complicated. Even if it is in America, it will be a tough situation for them. They went to Afghanistan and spent 20 years or 21 years with $2.6 trillion. It was just a tough situation, because in a asymmetric fight, they target vulnerable people, soft targets. It could be children, and sometimes they go to school because they need to make a case for United Nations regarding the right for people to go to school. And then they go to church and mosque, because these are areas, for example, in Africa where you have the large, our life is sort of connected to religious activities in Africa. When you are confronted by that kind of asymmetric fight, it is difficult and you have to be strategic, in the sense that if it is in conventional, you just find some people and then come and attack them. But asymmetric, you have to be intelligence driven. You have to be able to separate the people in the midst of the congregation, so to speak. You also have to have that understanding, because if you just come and just on the basis of information that is not verified, you grab people, you might be grabbing the wrong person. In fact, one of the targets of whether Boko Haram, bandit, or terrorists generally in asymmetric warfare is to set the state against international community, because if you are going to approach it frontally, then you will be confronted with the bigger question of human rights. So we understand that as a government, and we are saddened by everyday news, negative news. But we are consoled by one fact, that if you look at the president, you look at his conduct ever since this problem started, you see that of somebody who is trying to find solution. He has rejigged the security architecture. He has canceled his trip to South Africa, to Angola. He stayed back on the job. He's just finding ways. This is leadership. Like he will always tell us, I asked for the job and I can't complain.
So, Mr. Bwala, let's assume without conceding that indeed this is an asymmetric situation and it's difficult to surmount the obstacles without a huge compromise in casualty of innocent citizens. Right. Does that then justify negotiation with terrorists? Is the federal government negotiating with terrorists? So
this is a difficult question, I must tell you. There was a time federal government was negotiating. And I think that Rufai once talked about a national policy at that time, when they said both state and federal government can be in a situation where they will have to negotiate, because if your duty is to preserve the life of people and citizens of Nigeria are in danger and negotiation is the only way to save them, and you have to save them, then you have to do all that you need to do to save them at that time. But President Tinubu came with this zero tolerance on negotiation, because it then fits into this terrorism financing. You see, you are constructively financing terrorism without knowing. So instead of elements who are sponsoring them, by giving them the money as ransom to collect the people, they also use the ransom money to buy more weapons. So the federal government does not, and it does not tolerate the idea of negotiation.
So what gave for the release of the Kebbi girls, and what is going to give for the release of the St. Mary's children?
There are lots of factors that can occasion that. One, you know that there are individuals, they call themselves negotiators. When it comes to negotiation, it's not in all cases that money is involved. There are cases where the people might feel that if they don't release these people, there's going to be a bigger problem that they can manage. That can serve as incentive for them to release the people. Sometimes people they listen to, they could be these religious clerics or anybody they could listen to, can also be a factor. At other times, it can also be that federal government has sort of encircled them in terms of saying from the intelligence point of view, you at least have an idea of where they are, right? But you have a difficulty of going to bomb there because then you have soft people with them. But then you are giving them warning and they can decide to turn them over. At other times, on their own, they can choose to do that. I also have to admit that at sometimes, families of individuals that are kidnapped, they end up paying the ransom, or state government end up paying the ransom. All of these things are possibilities for the release of the people. But you asked the question whether federal government did pay ransom, and I told you no. Whether federal government will pay ransom, and I'm saying no.
But that's difficult to believe, Mr. Bwala, because the terrorists made a video with the Kebbi schoolgirls mocking the federal government and telling the whole world that they negotiated with us.
Let me tell you something.
They weren't quite clear, you know, how much in dollars was exchanged, but indeed they said that there was negotiation, and they were mocking a whole government.
That's the whole essence of terrorism. Terrorism is like I said, it's a belligerent war, right? You play on the mind of the people. Why do they call them terror? They inflict fear. Sometimes they do the things they do so that people will be afraid and then do whatever they say. In terms of communication, of course, you know propaganda. They can say anything they want to say. But if they want to, just the same way you want government to support whatever claim government is making, I believe that if the terrorists have facts as they claim, they will give those facts in terms of how much they collect, who they collect it from, because there are other times they mention individuals and they say these people will respect them or this person we don't like them. So it may be difficult for individuals to have, let's say, I trust government or I don't. We know that confidence building will take time. This problem was inherited by this government. But one fact that is clear, our eyes is on the ball. Solving the problem is much more important to us than people having a meeting, so to speak, to say government is doing well or not.
Right. Quite a number of issues to unpack, Mr. Bwala. But let me take you back to about this time, around 11 years ago, when President Goodluck Jonathan was in power. About this time. And then, well, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the leader of the APC, put up that now famous tweet. And in that tweet, which we'll put up for Nigerians now, it said, why should any part of this country be under occupation in any civilized country? Mm-hmm. And he ended by saying, Jonathan should resign.
Right.
There are people who are calling for the president to resign right now. Is that a fair call?
That's a right of expression. They express themselves. But of course, you know, constitutionally, if you want someone to resign, there's a procedure. As it stands today, nobody in the chain of command of democratic process in Nigeria is calling for the president to resign other than people who are saying it. And I would love if, for example, the journalists can substantiate. I mean, there is Geoffrey calling for the president to resign, or there is Bwala calling for the president. Then it will help me to respond. It will assist me in responding adequately to it. Because if you say the person has opposition, I will say, next question. Because so, what else do you expect them to say?
You're saying you've not heard anybody call for the president's resignation?
I have not heard.
Okay. A popular Nigerian artist, a Nigerian,
right,
bona fide Nigerian, just like you, Files the bad guy. I'm sure you know him, a lawyer. Asked the president to resign. In fact, he quoted the president's tweet. And there are more Nigerians who have asked the president to resign. But here's my point, Mr. Bwala. The president said...
1 out of 230 million?
They're more than that, but that's not even the point.
Okay.
Here's my point. He said that how can territories be occupied in a civilized country? That was a premise under which now President asked President Goodluck Jonathan to resign. Now, during that period, around that time, I'll tell you the territories that were under occupation. You're from Borno State.
Yes.
So you're well aware that major part of Borno was under occupation.
And none is under occupation
Bama,
at the moment.
Chibok, and the rest. All we had was terrorism to deal with then.
Right.
But today, Mr. Bwala, I'll tell you the states that are under occupation. Not just areas in the state. Now, areas within different states. We have Zamfara State. Areas and territories in Zamfara State, the forests under occupation. Katsina, Kaduna, I'm coming, Kebbi, Sokoto, even in Benue, Plateau, Niger State, Kwara State, Mr.
all
Bwala,
these places
I am getting there.
Okay.
The FCT, even in Borno State, there have been attacks this year, and I'm sure you are aware of that. Yobe State, Taraba, these are more areas under occupation that we had in 2014. So yet again, I ask, is it fair to call for that resignation?
I think your question is like an oxymoron, because you cannot in one breath say a place is under occupation, and at the same time you're talking about places where they come and strike and go. If you talk about occupation, like in the case of the past you mentioned, they were actually in control of the local government. They were collecting tax. They were running the administration of the local government. That's occupation. When people come and attack and go, it cannot be classified as occupation under any description, right? But I'll proceed further to answer the question of whether the president should resign or not. You see, being confronted with a problem is not a problem. When you lack solution to solving a problem, then you have a problem. Because in life, there is no part of this planet where there are no security situations. I was telling my guys in the BBC, I said the crime rate in the United States is more than the crime rate in Nigeria. And when I said that in Arise, my friend Charles Anagolo said, but the difference is that in Nigeria, it is the case of homicide or be dead, in the other one, I said, but criminal, crime are prosecuted in court. So whether it is death penalty or you go to prison and stay for 1 week, it is crime. Now, in England, they are calling for Keir Starmer to resign. People in a democratic society have a right to say what they say. But the next thing is, you back it up. If you believe when you are calling for the president to resign is a legit call, then begin the process. Otherwise, it will be laziness on the part of government to be concerned about individuals exercising right of expression.
So was it legit then to ask President Goodluck Jonathan to resign?
And I will tell you the distinction.
So that I can then?
No, I will solve the problem of this question.
It's a yes or no question, Mr. Bwala.
I'm coming now. Cambia. In the days of Jonathan, they didn't have an idea of the solution. Why did I say that? They were in denial about the fact that there were Chibok girls kidnapped.
No, Ashwaji Bola Tinubu then asked him to resign in November.
Yes, so what I'm saying...
Months after the abduction. In fact, at that time, they had contracted, they had mercenaries who were clearing out those areas. And I'm sure you're from Borno State, so you're aware of this thing.
Yes.
So it's different.
But do you get what I'm saying?
So first,
I'm saying you're calling
was it legitimate for him to call, or was it fair for him to call for him to resign?
When the president then, as Ashwaji Bola Tinubu called for the resignation, it was a legit call. Why?
So is it legit? Is it legit now?
There cannot be a good conversation without giving the right of answer. I
thought you answered. You said it was legit.
I have not. No,
you have actually. You said there was a legitimate call.
Okay, you want this kind of short answer? Okay, then it was a legit call. Now it is not legit.
It's not legit.
Next question.
So why is it not legit? Now, one of the things that we see this government do, and we've seen all kinds of traveling, let's diagnose the problem properly. You said the government has its hands. Effort is not as important as results. We are seeing efforts. I don't think any person who has a conscience will say there's no effort. But we're not seeing results because the abductions, it's like all hell has just broken loose. So we're not seeing results. So no matter what the president is doing now, if the number of the abduction is not reducing, then effort is not enough. Which is why, just a moment, sir. Which is why that conversation around resign or not resign, that's another debate altogether. I'm sure you want to respond to that. So, is it really correct to say that the government knows what it is doing when escalations are going from one point to the other in ascending order? In fact, there's another point where we look at what the presidency is doing and all of that. It looks like more of managing narrative than solving the problem. The issue of whether there's genocide or no genocide, I want you to respond to that as well.
Are you living in Tanganyika or you're living in Nigeria?
I'm here.
Okay, so let me tell you the result. Before the president became president, because I have to give you context is everything. There were prison break. We no longer have it. There were kidnappings during the daylight in Abuja and the other parts of Nigeria. We stopped it. As a matter of fact, just a few months ago, before this incessant security problem, we arrested the leaders of Ansaru terrorist organization. They were in U.S. watch list. The United States government lauded Nigeria. Then months prior to that, we had the surrendering of bandits, which the American embassy lauded Nigeria. I'm counting result. Immediately after this first 2, 3, 4 abductions that you see, in Borno State about 4 days ago, the people abducted, we recovered same day. That is his result. The girls from Kwara, I mean the children from Kwara, or rather the people from Kwara that were abducted, we had them come back. It is a result. So whether it is mathematics, English, chemistry, it is a result. When all the people abducted are brought back, it's a result.
But there's still been
there's another one again.
No.
There's another one again. After that, then we had 20-something number of those that were kidnapped in Kibi. That is also called what? Result.
There has even been more. We're having incessant. That's
right.
I'm not going back to those time. I'm talking about right now.
And me, I'm answering the question in terms of result.
Yeah,
you said
because
effort is not
300 students, is it children now that were kidnapped? We have just about 50 back. So that is a very concerning situation.
Right.
And then we're hearing of more abductions. So there's something not. I think where I'm going to is not about a debate. Is the government's right in its intelligence to be able to curb occurrence? Because success for terrorists is the ability to pick up people and not be caught. That we now go back and whether we negotiated, we paid ransom, whatever it is, this is more reactive. You get my drift?
Yes, and success for us as a government is that when they are picked up, we recover them.
So you're waiting for them to be picked up?
I'm coming. That's the problem. The problem is you want me to allow you to ask the question, but you don't want me to answer.
Okay, answer, no problem. No,
so success for them, in your own words, is for them to be able to abduct people. Success in our own words is for us to be able to recover the people when they are abducted and also to ensure that they are not abducted again. For example, the use of soft target that I started by telling you, schools. Why did the president issue an emergency on insecurity and decided that we should bring back the Save the School initiative, where schools that are outside the town are going to be brought back to the town under an arrangement called the mega school? Those in the local government are coming back integrated into the unity. Success for us is finding ways to prevent them from doing that. Success also for us is looking at the limitations that we have, which is the limited number of military personnel and police personnel, and coming up with an order to increase the number by asking the police to recruit 50,000 and asking the army to recruit more than 20,000, and then recall the police people that are attached to VIP, which we have over 11,000, then ask the SSS to get trained men to go to the forest and help out, and then talk about the civil NSTC, what do you call it?
Civil defense. Civil
defense to also play a part. Churches are told now to beef up security vanguard. This to us is success, finding measures by for prevention and then recovering of those that are abducted. I cannot sit here in whatever language to tell you there will never be a security situation in Nigeria. It will amount to giving a false hope to anybody. Because you and I, as you sit there, I sit here, you know that Nigeria has porous border. You don't need somebody to speak in tongues for you. You also know that we have limited number of military personnel. You know we have limited number of equipment for surveillance system like you find in advanced country. You also know we have the complication associated with terrorism in Nigeria is far more.
So, Mr. Bwala, I don't want to cut into your thoughts. Isn't that the reason to call for help?
Yeah, we've been working with partners. Maybe the perspective of your help is different from mine.
No, I'm just...
If the federal government is working with partners, is it an acknowledgement that, the government is not in control of the situation?
Even the United States of America need us to help them, and we've been helping them in many ways.
Mr. Bwala, your comparisons may not be
you're talking about help from
You refer
partners.
to the United States having more insecurity than Nigeria. That may be debatable, but we read the stories here, you know, Mr. Bwala, and there is a higher rate of deterrence, even if there is a serious crime situation in the United States.
Do you know their
but
budget?
that is not the situation. Mr. Bwala, Nigeria spends trillions of naira.
Do you know the budget of New York Fire Service?
Without any result. And I just want to read to you the number of abductions,
without any result,
especially since the declaration of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. In Kogi State, bandits abducted a pastor, his wife, church members, an undetermined number of persons. In Sokoto State, a bride, her close friend, and 8 other residents were abducted by armed men in Chacho village. We've had in the last 8 days alone, since early this week, by the way, not today, a total of 395 persons have been reportedly abducted from 7 states of Nigeria, out of which only 79 victims have been released.
Right.
So if you're saying that, you know, in the former administration, they didn't even have an idea of how to go about it, then what can we say about this administration is also a miss about strategy or ideas about how to rein in on the insecurity challenge.
So this is the problem I have. You know, when we started, I am more about solution, about what we're doing. You know, when this whole crisis started, the first time was about debunking the notion of Christian genocide, because we are about solution, people were about profiling. After we've debunked that, we say we are more about solution. My brother was the one that said, let me take you back. And by the time he took us back now, you people stayed at the back. You don't want to make...
I confronted you with the facts, Mr. Bwala.
No, you didn't. You didn't say any fact.
Your characterization of
there's no Christian
is
genocide?
unfair.
No. We'll come. We'll let one after the other.
So because you're saying
I'm coming. We've already done that.
No, you cannot. You've not done. That's a lie. That's
it's
not
still
true.
a subject of debate.
No, retract that one. Don't say that's a lie.
Mr. Bwala,
that's very, very wrong. As a journalist, to look at your case and say that's a lie. You can say it is factually incorrect, but you can never say that's a lie.
Let me say what I want to say.
But do you know what you said is wrong?
No, it's not. I'm saying that there are people... No, just hold on. Hold on. Let me establish my point. You as a government is saying we don't have state-backed. Because what is the American government saying? Christians are being killed. And you're not doing anything about it. That's the argument. You say, no. You're narrowing your profiling and your narrative to say, this killing affects both Muslims and Christians. But there are Christian leaders who have doubled down on that position. So you can't dismiss that position and say you've dispelled it. It's a mixed bag of those genocide arguments, geopolitics, resource control, economic issue, criminality. So that's why I'm saying it is not true.
So that what you just said is also a lie, because let me tell you.
What's a lie?
That's what I want to tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
What you just said is a lie because you gave a one-sided report of those who hold the position that it is a genocide. But you have failed to mention that Reuters, BBC, Sky News, CNN, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, I have mentioned their names, 6 of them, have done their fact check and came to the conclusion that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. I
think you and I are mixing the points. That is their position. Listen,
the one you give, is it not the position of others? Is it not the position of others?
This is the lived-in reality of the people we've had on this show.
You're mixing. You are mixing. Somebody came and told you his position, right? And I gave you a counter position.
That is your position. I don't think
the one you gave, is it your own?
That is not the
one you told me, is it your own?
It's not my... I'm quoting what the people who have the lived-in experience to say. Listen, Mr. Barra, just a moment. The government or Washington Post, whoever, can characterize it the way they want, and is within their right to.
And the people you're quoting should not have characterized it. They should have said, let me tell you the premise, let me tell you, brother. I'm just
putting their position to you.
But let me tell you, let me submit to you with the greatest respect why journalists are not helping in solving problem. Can you deny the fact that there are Muslims that are killed?
No, that's a fact.
Can you deny that there are people who have not identified as Christians or Muslims that are also killed?
That's a fact.
So when you have a fact that Christians are killed, Muslims are killed, those who have not identified with a religion are killed, will that qualify as a genocide?
Because the argument of the Christian people who are making this allegation is that it's been promoted by Islamic jihadists. I hope you get the distinction.
So the argument also of the individual I mentioned to you who are in a position to know what is genocide or not, came to the conclusion that there is no Christian genocide, but there is a killing
There's
of all.
no exclusive preserve in terms of knowledge of what a genocide is. It's a common sense. It's not
a common sense.
It's not a number. It's not a
common sense. Sorry, my brother.
It's not common sense. It's not about, I think we mix this genocide argument because sometimes if we don't identify all the problem, we'll not address it correctly. If we deny the issue.
You know what you should have been saying?
Just hold on.
You should have been saying there are Christian communities who are complaining that they are being killed. I will not deny it. Government has not denied it. I'm coming and me to allow me to learn. I allowed you. If you say there are pastors, communities that are complaining that their people are being killed, I'll be the last person to deny that. We accept that. When you say there is a Christian genocide, what is genocide?
Those are their words. I'm quoting to you.
So I'm talking.
They say
then the counter words.
Genocide. If you look at the UN Convention, Article 2 of that, it doesn't talk about scale. So even if it's 1 million, it talks about intent. Just you're a lawyer, so you're in a better position.
By
than
who?
Me.
By whom?
United Nations.
No, I'm saying intent by whom?
Intent by those who perpetrate what is considered to be genocide.
Okay, so yes, let me take it again. Has there been genocide of Muslims?
I wouldn't know that.
How would you give your bias in your mind?
No, I wouldn't know that
because I now tell as an intellectual, I'm telling you, there is a fact.
Jeffrey, please hold on.
There is a fact. There is a fact, undeniable fact, that also states that there are also Muslims that are killed. You admit it. I told you there's a fact. I'm coming now.
My premise is that
hold on, Jeffrey.
The Christians are saying it is promoted by Islamic jihadists. That's the premise you're missing. Anyway, so that my colleagues can comment.
In wrapping up the argument, I'm more concerned about whether the federal government is in control of the situation or not. But in wrapping up the argument about whether or not there is a genocide as regards
no, it has been established. There's no genocide.
Definition of intention. Do you deny that Nigeria has an extremism problem? Yes. There's a country that is supposed to be secular.
I don't deny that.
But Sharia is deeply ingrained in our laws, and if indeed Muslims are being killed, perhaps that is circumstantial, but there is a real problem. It is not circumstantial, it was deliberate. There is a real problem where Christians are being targeted.
So here's the answer to this, and I will say it slowly so you can understand. In all the places where the Muslims were killed, it was not circumstantial. In fact, the data suggests that there are more Muslims that are killed because these killings have been taking place in the northern Nigeria. In Borno State, where I come from, the killings, more in number are the casualties are Muslim. You can go to all the northern states. Right. And now, as a government, we don't want to say Christians, Muslims. We just feel there is a problem and we're solving. So when people come with this narrow thinking of Christian genocide, Muslim genocide, they take up the real issue, which is the responsibility of government to fight. That issue, I told you, has been dealt with. Because those who were pushing it in Nigeria, they were hoping that they would get global community to come into that narrative. And we've been able to prove that the global community said that there is no Christian genocide. Well, now the United States government that you talked about that they are calling on, we are on table with them. We have passed that stage. We are finding solutions. We are discussing deeper things on how we can find solutions.
All right, so Mr. Bwala, you said you have data of Christians, Muslims killed. So give us the figures.
So even the Civil Society for Liberties and Human Rights, the foundation of the fulcrum of the falsehood, if you look at their report, you go to their website, look at September, which is the data. I'm talking about data.
You said you have data that even shows that more Muslims are killed. So
that's what I'm mentioning to you.
So give us the figures.
Is the microphone not the enter your ear? I said number one.
You're quoting another website, Mr. Bwala.
Where do you get data?
No, you said the foundation of this was from that website, the lie. So you are quoting another data which you are using.
So what data do you want me to tell you?
The genocide.
What data do you want me to tell you?
You said you have data.
Have data, does it mean I'm the one that wrote it?
Mr. Bwala, you said you have data.
We have data. What are the data?
Muslims are killed.
You must.
So give us the figures.
Okay. Foundation for Civil Liberties and Human Rights, from their report, updated report September. If you go and read it, more Muslims have been killed. First, more non-Muslims, people who have not identified with religion, followed by Muslims, followed by Christians. Yes, in their report followed by Christians and then Muslims. In this thing for Africa, I mentioned in my previous interview, they also came up with a finding.
So the government doesn't have data.
Government.
So, Mr. Bwala, I guess we're saying it doesn't.
I am countering their own narrative. The government is not profiling. We don't believe we can never profile about this number of Christians. No,
and I think that is a challenge.
Has never and will never be involved in the profiling.
Is it fair for government not to look at that distribution when these claims are laid?
That is why, first of all, the government has not drawn up a data of that because the government will be irresponsible to profile people, right? So when they came up with their data, we studied their own report and we found fault with their own. Then we escalated that to other organizations and found fault with that. Then these organizations I mentioned to you, the news media, carried out their own data and they came up with the finding.
So first off, just a second.
Yeah.
First off, it's important to have data that you can rely on.
As a government, data.
No, Mr. Bwala. Mr. Bwala, when other data come out and say Nigeria is one of the most corrupt or one of the poorest countries, you say no, that's subjective data. No, our own data. You ever
asked me the question?
Mr. Bwala.
Mr. Bwala. No, but let it be specific.
I have had conversations with those in government.
Let it be specific.
Things about.
So I am not that person.
One second,
ask me the question that you
represent that government. But the point.
Okay, then I'm giving you the data also that is not limited to what I produce.
So let me give you the context now.
Yeah.
The people who stay in the area said that one of the religious leaders said he had conducted over 70 mass burials. In fact, one of those mass burials had 501 people killed. That is a lived reality.
He said.
That is a lived reality.
He said, right?
He has the
data.
Has he supplied it? Has he supplied you?
And I expect that government is working with him.
Has he supplied you?
But here's my point, Mr. Bwala.
He doesn't have an answer.
He brought it on live television.
Mr. Bwala, you are trying to ask me a question you know the answer to already.
What? I don't know the answer.
Then that speaks to how well you're doing your job. If you don't have data information
from
Nigerians,
if you don't have question, let's go.
So here's my point. The people who live there have said time and again that we are being targeted and killed, and I've given you data. But I want us to wrap up with this point, because you said you want to solve issues.
Has the government denied that Christians are killed, just like Muslims are killed?
You're saying that there is
the government denied that?
Mr. Bwala, you know why it will be important for data to be available? It's not just because it's a matter of irresponsibility, because the bigger concern is that Nigerians are being killed, whether they're Christians or Muslims. It is because there is a genuine concern in the communities where there is a lived-in reality that we are being targeted. We're unable to freely express our religious convictions. And as a result, if you do not tackle the root causes, you continue to address the symptoms, and then you'll be unable to sufficiently address the challenge. I believe that is where it is important to have data that can be relied on.
We are engaging with all communities.
Will it be responsible as a government to rely on data provided by just one organization, but to have an aggregation of data to prove that indeed there is no targeting of people of a particular religion?
Only this morning, in the course of our conversation, I talked to you about 7 different reports that we rely on. The government is not shying away. When these people came up with their, like the civil liberty, which is an apology of a separatist group, when they brought their report, I studied it. I mean, how can I close my eyes? And I faulted it on the evidence of that, and I challenge anybody. When the one for Africa, Observatory for Africa, Religious Right in Africa, when they came with it, I studied it. Look at the report in their data. All of these reports suggested the killing of everybody. The Christians have been killed, Muslims have been killed.
So you choose to
the notion,
that,
the notion, listen,
the
notion, no, I said Christians have been killed.
No, you've said that you looked at those ones, and then that is what you're relying on. But Reverend Achomo's,
you have a selective amnesia, with the respect, and you do a disproportionate,
Mr. Bwala,
disproportionate analysis. You have not in 1 second in this place mentioned the killing of Muslims.
Mr. Bwala, I will not insult.
Some journalists are the ones creating problems in this country.
I mentioned
by profiling people.
Mr. Bwala, that is not. I mentioned all the states that have been attacked. Majority of the states I mentioned.
Then I ask you.
So
the killing of one, the killing, I will not retract it.
So that means you're not being factual as well. But the point here is, Mr. Bwala, let's wind down on this point. I have represented everywhere
the journalists in Nigeria must play their role in finding solution. This fake news and hoax narrative of Christian genocide, it is disproportionate for journalists to sit and talk about the killing of Christians without also being sympathetic pathetic enough to look at the killing of other religions.
I mentioned
we
all
as
the states
you would have not.
that
All of you people
are
very silent about the killing of Muslims.
You should play this
the responsibility of government is to look at the killing of anybody in Nigeria as
Mr.
something
Bwala,
that is bad and fight to stop it. We don't want to buy this idea of this Christian genocide. We are fighting insecurity, and all of our people are coming under attack every now and then.
To wind down, nobody is saying Muslims are not killed. In fact, there are parts of Nigeria that even Muslims are killed.
Have you mentioned that this morning?
You said you
I mentioned.
I said it. You did not.
No. I was building a case. Because of where we're going to.
So if you look at the totality of killings in Nigeria, where you have more Muslims killed than Christians, how is the notion that there is a Christian genocide over the Muslims?
I know as a government, you will naturally shy away from issues around genocide. It's okay. There's no problem with that. But we are saying in solving the problem, if we say there are 4 causative factors,
right?
Hypothetically, 4. No matter the percentage of those 4 causative factors or whatever we're dealing with, it would be unfair to say, because this is sensitive, let's not talk about it. You identify it and address it as a government. That's what we're going to, so that we have it, so that we begin to blame journalists. Journalists will report.
You are repeating the words.
No,
with respect.
No.
Let me tell you what all of us have agreed. Let me tell you what all of us have agreed here. We all have agreed here there is insecurity, right or wrong?
Yes.
Indeed.
We all have agreed that Christians have been killed in Nigeria. But answer now. We've all agreed Christians are being killed. We agree Muslims are being killed. We agree those who have not identified as Christians or Muslims are being killed. So we have a case of insecurity and not a case of genocide.
Mr. Bwala, as we wrap up, we do have a challenge of insecurity, but we also have a challenge of extremism, and that is an elephant in the room. And I wonder if that conversation is being had. And we know where the extremism is coming from.
Are you more a relieved person, people who relieve their experience, than the state where I come from? You know how many of our people are being killed?
I understand.
When these people came to kill, they didn't look at religion. And we will, as a government, we will never sit down and admit or agree with the fake news that is circulating that there is a Christian genocide.
Let's wind down on the challenge of control, Mr. Bwala.
You talked about wind down, you talked about wind down, you talked about wind down. When are we winding down?
We're totally out of time, we're totally out of time. We're totally out of time. But the most important thing, I know you get the gist. It's important. I know you defend your government, it's fine. But identify and address everybody's concern, no matter how sensitive it is inability to
Let's
face
hope
that
in the future you will address it, but you didn't do that today. You focused more on Christians. But in the future, I'm hoping you will.
That's not the point. It came up.
And in fact, if you have, maybe even have the objectivity of looking at it all, if you have the objectivity of looking at it all, then you don't need to call genocide. Let's focus on insecurity and how we find solution to insecurity.
We must wind down, and thank you very much. We've been talking with Mr. Daniel Bwala, the special advisor to the President on Policy Communication. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Two facts before we go. One, there have been prison breaks since this government came in. Secondly, the United States is not asking for Nigeria's help militarily.
Is not asking.
You said they're asking for Nigeria's help in terms of military.
I never said that. I think that your mind is not here.
You said that even the United States.
You heard me. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say about
just to fact check before we close?
Kayode, you see, you have one problem.
I can't quote you copiously, but you did suggest.
But he has been missing.
My problem is to fight fake news. My problem is to fight fake news. And I'm fighting fake news.
Lies in the name of bringing objectivity.
I
am not that type of. I am not that type of anchor that will come to a TV station and keep quiet when people are peddling fake news. I will shut it down there.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Bwala.
No, hold on, Bwala. You're the one denying the reality, but it's fine. It's okay.
You did say that we're out of time.
She said we're out of time. She said we're out of time.
We'll continue with our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
So let's talk more on security. We're joined on the program by Major General Henry Ayala, former Commander, Operation Safe Haven, joins us virtually. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning, Kayode.
Good morning, viewers. I hope we have a beautiful day today.
Well, the day started with fireworks, General, and we apologize for keeping you waiting for longer than expected. But let's speak to the security situation, of course. And I want to piggyback off the president's nomination now of the former CDS, General Christopher Musa, as Nigeria's Minister of Defense, pending, of course, the screening and all of that by the Senate. I wonder if, for you, that will be a masterstroke, because the former governor and former minister Badaru resigned, and then we get this announcement. For a lot of people, they're not sure how to approach it. Is this good? Is this not good? What more can he bring to the table different from when he was a CDS? But for you, how does this change things strategically when it comes to security in Nigeria?
Okay, once again, Kayode, thank you for bringing me on this morning. Let me start by saying, obviously, and I'm sure many Nigerians are celebrating this move, the appointment of our dear General Chris Musa is obviously a right step in the right direction. I mean, since this administration came on board, we all know that there's not been much input at that grand strategic level of the military establishment. So that will certainly bring a lot of good ideas on board to add to what is being done at the services headquarters. So certainly it's a good one. And we are hopeful that we'll see dear General, and my congratulations to him. And my prayer for him is that God will grant him additional grace and wisdom to navigate and deliver on this assignment also.
All right, I think every Nigerian will naturally wish him the very best. General, I think every Nigerian will wish him the very best naturally, but let's maybe walk back. That's what we've seen play out in the past few weeks. It looked like there'd been that upsurge ever since the announcement by the U.S. president. Niger State, for example, over 200 children are still in captivity. The NSA visited and assured Nigerians that the children are safe. And there's been that simple question. One, the government is aware of the location of these terrorists, clearly. In fact, government is in communication with them for the NSA to have said, well, they're in good condition. But time and again, there's always hesitancy to either route them or even just generally prosecute them. So Nigerians see that these same bandits are responsible for kidnapping and killing are either being neutralized or they face justice. General, what may be the hesitancy from government, the cause of that, rather?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me say a little further about why I'm so optimistic about the new leadership at the Ministry of Defense. General Musa will be the 14th Minister of Defense since the democratic dispensation we're in, and the 6th of those with the military background. And of course, the freshness in his own case of just leaving the defense headquarters, which, by the way, we are the only nation in the world that operates a defense headquarters separate from Ministry of Defense. It's supposed to be one headquarters, okay, just like you have the Pentagon and other nations, okay. But the good thing here is that whatever he wasn't able to do by the limited power he had as Chief of Defense Staff, we hope that with the higher powers, Honorable Minister of Defense, he will be able to do that. Now, the issue about hostage-taking, kidnapping, and how to deal with the situation is very delicate. You know, it's many-faceted, and I'm sure you will recall the School 1 incident in North Ossetia, where the Russian forces eventually brought the whole roof down upon both the victims and the villain. Nobody wants to do that, you know, because, particularly when it's school children that are involved.
you have to weigh all the options, weigh the collateral damages, weigh the unintended consequences, and see whether it's worth storming the place, or you have to think of other options that are less catastrophic than that. So that usually is in the front burner all the time. I mean, if you know where they are and the children are still with them, that leaves you with very tight option as to how do you resolve, which method to use. Okay, so I can appreciate why, the government will have to tread carefully, and those who are handling the operations will have to continue to reevaluate the situation, And of course, in our case, we have never really been sufficiently preemptive because, we heard about this Safe School Initiative or Safe School project, and not much has happened in that line. So the advantage of early warning and preemptive action has not been taken. So that's where we are. So for me, that's what I understand why the government is, often pensive about going all out to attack the kidnappers wherever they are.
General Ayala, you are a retired general in the army, so you would understand relations between the rank and file of the service chiefs and the superintending ministers of defense. And I'll put this in proper context. There were reports that the minister who resigned, had disagreements, an unhealthy relationship with his junior minister. Now, the new minister, former chief of defense staff, served under these two ministers. How does this change relations now that he becomes minister of defense, superintending over the ministry where, former minister served, and the junior minister, Bello Matawalle? How does this change relations in terms of hierarchy?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a beautiful question. And in this situation, it's inherently so. But again, when you look at it, for us in the military, working with a leader is not an opinion business. It's not, you don't have a choice. Whatever hierarchy is established, when you find yourself in a teamwork, even in our own setting, sometimes your classmate could be the team leader. You submit to his leadership, you cooperate and collaborate to get the work done. That's the way we are trained. So I don't see any problem. Because at any rate, don't forget, a lot of our politicians are younger than even most of the civil servants and public servants that are in place. It's just politics that trump them up, not because they are older or they have any better experience or any even kind of skills that put them in that, in that office in particular. So I don't think that should be a problem. In fact, we've had a situation, even in our setting, very recent one, when the retired general who was made Minister of Defense was junior to all the service chiefs that were on at that time. Just the recent one, under the last administration. We had that, but I'm sure it never had any quarrels among them, or you never had any charge against any of the service chiefs to say that they were not cooperating with the minister. We don't. Basically, in the military, we are trained to work as a team because war is inherently a teamwork. So I don't think there should be any problem with that. Maybe that they could have such problem among themselves as politicians, but for us, the kind of training and regimentation we were, given, we don't have issues with submitting to authority and all of that. That's ingrained in our DNA.
We hope that is also ingrained in the DNA of politicians. Talk to us now about what differences you'll be expecting in the operational efficiency of the military. It's been said that the former minister is a teacher, and in fact, I'm just seeing now that the Minister of State, apart from being a politician, is also a teacher. So now that we have an experienced retired soldier as superintending minister over the very important Ministry of Defense, what differences are you expecting to see in the operations of the armed forces?
Okay, thank you very much. Just to add a little to the last question. By the way, I served in that ministry. I was Principal General Staff Officer to the Minister of Defense. So I know how the office there works and how the minister, there was a time we had more than one Minister of State. We had Minister of State for Army, Navy, Air Force. That was the time we had 4 ministers in that ministry. So the hierarchy is very clear. The junior minister, either is Minister of State for Navy or Air Force, where you have only one, usually it's for Navy, That's how we have run our Ministry of Defense thus far. The work is just like a deputy governor or vice president. That's the way it's being run. And his schedule will be a function of what the senior minister delegates to him. So I don't think that, maybe because they are politicians and maybe they are colleagues and all of that, I'm not sure what must have been responsible. But statutorily, there should be no clash about that. I mean, it's like there can't be a clash between the vice president and the president because the rules are clearly stated, statutorily. But so coming to what I would expect and what I would advise General Musa coming in there as the Minister of Defense, there's a whole lot to unpack. Let's start by looking at it this way. Like I said, I've been issuing my intro that the advantage I see here will be maybe there were certain ideas he had as Chief of Defense Staff, which he wasn't able to implement because since he was not the final authority, even at defense level. But now as the minister, he has a wider access to the president, and at least he's representing the president on all the services, Army Council, Naval Board, and Air Force Council. So, of course, he has a whole lot of greater leverage to see his ideas sailing through. And, of course, having been at that apex of the military profession itself, there will be so many things that you can now find out. Let me give some example. For example, like the acquisition process, the procurement process of the armed forces, of the Minister of Defense. Now that he's the Minister of Defense, he can now sit down and craft a process and procedure that is almost foolproof, that will help the military to acquire platforms and systems based on thorough planning, based on a foresight and kind of contingency plan of look at the armed forces. What kind of war do you see the armed forces fighting in the next 20 years? Okay? Then maybe that would be medium term. Then maybe 50 years and project and see how do you acquire those kind of platforms, equipment, and systems in a progressive way. Not just buy things in one sweep. In a way, because that's the way other nations that do these things. It's an open system where defense contractors understand their roles, every part of it, every component of it, we understand their individual roles, and they'll be able to come out. That's something that's been long-standing for us. So I am throwing that to him at least something that is not related to operation. I have a long list of what I've written about holistic security sector reforms. I'll try and get that across to him. But of course, I cannot share online, openly like this about things that relate to operation. But at least things that relate to administration and higher defense management, there's a whole lot. There's a serious gap in the paucity of framework, instruments, tools, and structures for defense management, higher defense management. So that's an area he can really see that now, since he's not the one fighting the battle directly. He can, with his experience about where the problems are, he can craft so many things to deal with it. Let me give, for example, in American setting, we try to copy America and everything. They are in forefront. Even the issue of saying, because somebody has a military background, so he's going to do well, is because we have not created systems. If we run the nation as a system of systems, you design a system to suit even a novice coming in, because all he needs to do is to follow the processes, procedures, and where his ingenuity will come in, will be areas where he wants to improve on the current systems. That's how nations continue to fine-tune and get better and better and better in what they do. But where you don't have articulated systems that goes from structure, from policy to strategy, to structures, to procedures, to processes, to drills and routines for doing everything in such a way that you craft a checklist for doing everything that ministry has to do from start to finish, from buying a pin to acquiring a helicopter or aircraft or a ship. You have checklists so that whoever comes, it doesn't need to come with so much background experience per se. But if he's smart enough to be able to follow a procedure, a process, follow the checklist, and of course, after you are running it for a while, you do a review of what you made and see how you can tweak it and make it better. That's how nations run. That's how we are supposed to run. But we lack a whole lot of that right now. So those are areas I will suggest to him to begin to,
General, if I may comment,
and come up with something.
Yeah, my apologies for want of time.
Yes.
I don't know whether we should also manage our expectations. We've seen what he did whilst he was at the reins of authority as CDS. Now is at the policy level. It's not a one-man's job, as you've alluded to. So everybody's hand must be on deck. So maybe we'll manage expectations as well. But we're in a crisis mode, if you will. You understand this thing better than we do. But if it's not part of the things you think, let me put it differently. On governed spaces, border security, which he has proposed that we need to fence our border. He gave example of Pakistan and I think Afghanistan also, and he gave example of Saudi Arabia when it was CDS. He was pushing for the possibility of border fencing. Now, we just left off the conversation with one of the spokespersons of the president, which we have all identified that we're in a crisis situation. There's massive insecurity. And one of the major reasons is ungoverned spaces, porous border. What propositions would you have for him if you were to speak to him?
Okay, thank you very much. I also noted when he discussed those issues, one of those is outings. And strictly speaking, the issue of borders is not more of a Ministry of Defense business. That's supposed to be an interior ministry, with some of the other paramilitary forces and security agencies. So it's actually a unified kind of system that should address that. But, well, one of the things I think I loved about when he was CDS, he was able to carry along a lot of these other security agencies outside the military. I mean, I saw beautifully and admirably how he worked with the DGSSS and all of that. So maybe this is a better platform for him to do more of that and then be able to... I was privileged to lead a team to Turkey, not before I retired in 2015, to study and look at their border control and management. And it's a holistic system with an ICT backbone, with several monitoring centers and all of that. And we submitted the report. It's there in the defense headquarters. I'm sure it could tell them to bring it up and look at it so that every component, because it encompasses the entire security sector, including even those that are not often seen as directly related, the entire security sector. That's the armed forces, the police, the civil defense, the SSS, the NIA, the DIA, the customs, immigration. All of these components are involved, and the roles of each subsector will be clearly stated. And then we will use one single ICT backbone, a network that is integrated. And like we have some emergency communication centers, where if you dial 112 right now, you will hear somebody will answer from the nearest of those centers. Now, if we use that as a start point and do some brainstorming and design a deliberate one, not a default thing that we've been running, a deliberate one that will factor all the, the connecting points, the junction points, and the critical points, and bring them into one holistic system, then that's a good place to go. So I think he can champion that with the kind of rapport he already has with these other agencies. Yeah.
Well, General, quite a number of things on his desk. Well, we'll see how the Senate handles the process, but clearly it looks like that is Nigeria's Minister of Defense. So we wish him the very best, and we have to thank you so much. There have been different comments coming through, particularly about your statement saying that, Nigeria is the only country that has a defense HQ different from Ministry of Defense. And they've given an example of United Kingdom and how things play out. So it looks like Nigeria must just find out what works for it and use it to its advantage. Major General Henry Ayola, former Commander of Operations Safe Haven, also worked in the Ministry of Defense. So you come with a lot of experience. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, Coyote. And thank you for the good job you guys are doing there.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, there is more for you on the show. Stay with us.
Closest thing about for almost 4 years.
Politics in Nigeria has always been a choral of diverse voices, but there is one notable absence: the voice of women. But there are women who have refused to be coward and dare to challenge the status quo.
There is no money. We're trying to do transfer.
Already marginalized in wider Nigerian society, these women in the boys' club that is Nigerian politics are a double minority.
Well, you know what they say in law, ipsa loquitur, things speaks for itself. What you just saw is what we're going to be talking about now. That documentary produced by a veteran journalist comes against the backdrop of the intense advocacy for the National Assembly to support, by popular will, the special seats for women bill. Joining us on the program to expand more on that documentary that you'll be seeing more of on Channels Television is veteran journalist Ms. Kadaria Hamid. She joins us virtually now on the program. It's good to see you, Ms. Hamid. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. I'd forgotten what it's like to wake up very early in the morning. So you can see me. I'm trying to put on my game face, but it's not that easy. Yeah?
Well, you're back home on Channels Television, so we're glad to have you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with, the findings from that work that you just produced. What are the key findings, and how significantly does it impact on the challenges that lie ahead of women that may emerge, following what we hope to be a sail-through for the special seats for women bill?
Okay, so, we went into this documentary, to be honest with you, because we were seeing declining representation, When President Olusegun Obasanjo became president and we sort of made our way back to democratic rule, we were very hopeful, based on what was happening during that particular administration, that we were going to see increasing engagement for women, both in political office but also elective office. What then happened was that we saw a steady decline. And in the current National Assembly, for example, you have less than 3% of women in the Senate, less than 5% in the National Assembly. So out of something like 108 senators, there are only 3 women. Out of almost 400 and something members of the House of Reps, there are only 17. Mind you, this particular representation is much better than what you would find at state level. And research has shown again and again, when you basically do not represent almost 50% of your population, are not sitting at the table when policy is made, when laws are made, when decisions are being taken about things, then the chances are you will see a decline in development. And I had a theory that we could actually track directly some of the decline we saw in Nigerian political space, including the quality of people we elect, and also outcomes that are contrary to what democracy should be giving people. I was postulating that I think there's a direct correlation between our refusal to allow full female participation in politics, in political office, and this decline. So what we wanted to do was to find out, okay, what are the issues? Are there problems that are stopping women from fully participating and being successful when they participate? And the big answer was yes. We found that there are structural barriers, and they range from the way political parties are designed. Generally, there is a problem with internal party democracy anyway. But for women, this is even worse, right? Then there are issues of funding. Then there are, cultural biases. All of those things come together to make it nearly impossible for women to sort of contest for, at the party level, the position to represent their parties and then into national elections. And this is really what the documentary set out to explore. But we didn't want a preachy documentary. We didn't want to. We didn't want to be sort of this big brother with this voiceover narrating what women are going through. We thought it was important to actually go into the field and allow women to tell their stories as they were contesting for political office. So that's what we did. During the 2023 elections, we deployed multiple crews across this country, and we basically tracked the campaign of 9 women. We set out to do a little bit more than that, but you know how it is when you're in the field, you're in production, you understand what you set out to do sometimes doesn't happen. So some of the women we were intending to track ended up, not wanting to do it, not cooperating fully in such a way that would get their full story. But the 9 women that we tracked were phenomenal, and we were able to follow them closely and look at the issues that faced them.
Quite a number of observations that you've made, which are quite valid, and it's been what we've been seeing. As a matter of fact, some of us are he for she, because for 60-something years, the country has been run by men. We may want to see what it looks like with a woman. Yes. So we are behind everything that will make women to be properly represented. But are you looking at a situation where some level of, I'm using the word loosely here, compromise in terms of advocacy with the men will go a long way to be able to give women the opportunity they deserve? Because I think we've seen clearly when you give them positions in terms of appointment, you see how they deliver. But elective positions are always the issue here, because it looks like the system is rigged against them, which is what you've identified and you're trying to solve. So is it
I think you're right about it. Is because of the fact that people think a compromise is important, is why you are now having extra seats and advocacy for extra seats, to be put aside for women. In an ideal environment, in a country like Nigeria, where I think the majority of the population believes that our National Assembly, our parliament is already too big, and takes away a disproportionate amount of our resources for itself. Ideally, what should happen is that those seats should actually be created among existing seats. But in recognition of the difficulty of getting men to give up their advantages, I think is the reason why women started advocating, okay, if you are not going to give up your seats, let's create special seats that are kept aside for women. And I think part of the problem is that sometimes the language that we use to talk about these issues and why they matter, the language almost makes it seem as if we're doing a favor for women, A, or B, when women are in positions of in elective offices or in appointive offices, it is good for women causes. No, it is good for the country. First of all, your population is 50% women. So actually, if women do well, what it means is that 50% of your population is doing well. But research has also shown again and again, both not only in politics, but even in the corporate world, that where you have women as part of leadership, that diversity increases your chances of success. And it's not surprising because it means at the table, you've got people who think different from the usual way of doing things. They're out of the box thinking. They bring skills that women have that are sort of a little bit different from the skills that men have. So for example, women are very good at multitasking. Women have a little bit more empathy. But more importantly, women are sort of community organizers. They tend to run homes, they run families, and that then, can be extrapolated to communities. And what that means is that if women are doing well, then your families are doing well, your communities are doing well. And all of this translates into better outcomes for the whole society. So the resistance to women leadership in politics and in other spheres of life, including sort of appointive offices, is really society shooting itself in the foot. It is not just women that they are doing this to. They are doing it to themselves because they are basically putting barriers that could allow society to thrive and do well. Did I miss you guys?
No, absolutely not. I think that was a moment to soak in everything you said. I just want to maybe get some other angles to fixing this. I know you follow the story of about 9 women, their journey through campaign and all of that. And I mean, looking at an analysis of it, just very few of them actually were voted in eventually, right? So while we have to advocate for reserved seats, we have to also sensitize people to all of the social and cultural re-engineering. What was the secret for the ones who succeeded? Is there any secret that we can maybe replicate for women? And I'm talking about Senator Natasha Akpoti-Addo, Senator Ireti Kingibe. What was the secret for them?
Yeah, and also the young lady in Kaduna who is the only female member of the State House of Representatives, Munira Tanimu. So the one thing with all 3 of them is actually this is not their first rodeo. So it is possible that we can say maybe the experience of contesting, losing, teaches, people lessons, right? So all of the 3 that made it, among those that we followed, I mean, there are other women that we didn't follow that won. So, for example, the Senate has 3 senators. So there are 2 other senators in addition to Senator Natasha, but we didn't follow those other women. We followed Senator Natasha and Ireti Kingibe. So part of it is, it seems like they are women who are resilient, who do not accept failure, who basically will try and try again. And what we found is that the reason that level of certainty exists is that they're kind of very clear, these women, about what they want to do and how they want to do it. And even now that they are in office, if you look at their performances, you can tell that they had clarity that they were going into political office to serve people, not to lord it over other people, not to become bosses or anything among their community, but to genuinely, do the work that is required. You only need to look at the anniversary of Senator Natasha and the programs she brought out that she had done for her constituency. In the 2 years she's been in office, despite being suspended for at least 6 months of those. So I think resilience from sort of trying and not giving up, that sort of quality.
Indeed.
But I also think that there are women who've managed to sort of get the leadership of their political parties to believe in them. Because you can't do it without your political party giving you support and giving you the ticket to start with.
Absolutely.
So internal party democracy is becoming a really significant part of how we elect leaders, so that by the time you get to the polling unit, the quality of what you are actually putting forward is sound. This applies actually not just to women, but to men as well.
And just as we wind down, we must also pay tribute to Simi Olushola. She ran in 2023. but she passed on last year, 2024. We must commend her fighting spirit, and I must say that her doggedness has infected others. So we're paying tribute to her because I know she participated or shows a part of that documentary as well.
Dedicated to her memory, and it's important we say that because Simi contested while pregnant and while also battling an illness. And that level of dedication to public service has to be commended.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, not long after the elections, we lost her. She died. She did leave behind a young son. And I think when he grows up and understands just how much of a warrior his mother was, he's going to be so proud. And you're right, she is an example to other young women. Everywhere I go to talk about this documentary, particularly people who watch it, talk about her spirit and how it is inspiring them.
And that'll be a fine place to anchor the conversation. Of course, there's more to explore, talking about cultural barriers, but it's clearly an ongoing one. And we hope to see you, Ms. Hamid, also contesting for an elective seat sometime soon. We need strong voices like yours. Well, thank you.
I just wonder if people know that the documentaries are about to start showing on channels and the timings for them. Maybe we could share them with the audience.
Yes, very quickly. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so this documentary is a 3-part series funded by the MacArthur Foundation, who've been really supportive of our work. We're so grateful to them. And they will be showing over the next 3 weeks on Channels TV at 10 a.m. starting this Sunday. So you see part 1 this Sunday, the following Sunday part 2, and the final part the Sunday after that. And I hope people will take the trouble to watch it because it really is a compelling story that we are telling.
Oh, and I'm sure it's not going to be a trouble. It will be worth the time. Thank you so much, Ms. Kadaria Hamid. She is the owner of Daria Media and a veteran journalist. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. So appreciative. Thank you.
Well, we'll take a moment now. When we return, it'll be time to, just relax from all of the hard talk and bring you something very interesting that played out during the week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And just...
about you. And we try to help you develop the talent further.
Sorry, dear.
You will get a 1 million.
So that moment is a moment that young man will never forget in his life. Well, that young man you saw in that video with the chairman of Heirs Holding, Mr. Atene Olumelu, is right here with us in our studios. So I don't want to give you what happened. I want him to say it himself. Okay, that's all right. A Euro teller is our guest right here. He's a rapper. What other thing are you?
I'm a dance artist.
Dancer.
I play drums.
Okay.
An editor, a social media, let me say influencer kind of.
You've done everything there is to be done. You've hustled the way up. Okay. That moment, for people who haven't watched that video, if you can tell us what happened there in 1 minute.
Okay. Firstly, I would say it's Grace. And Grace located me because I've actually been on the streets, not by me because I wanted to, but I came out from a very poor background and I couldn't further my education. And I loved cinematography, like shooting. Aside me dancing, I have the talent of dancing and I play drums professionally for churches and, I love videography. So, my parents not having money, my mom's late, my dad's just trying to make ends meet. I have 3 elder sisters also striving just to make everything. And I'm the only boy, the son. I knew right from the moment that me being a boy in Africa, there are lots of responsibilities on my shoulders. So I just faced the videography and the content creation because I see people online, they're making it brain jota, I'm like, how are these guys doing this? I'm like, this is the same thing I'm doing, like, what? How am I getting it wrong? But I kept on believing. But my dad was thinking, you must go to school, you must be a graduate. At least, okay, if you don't go to school, acquire a skill. But he's not saying that this is actually his skill. He's thinking, you're wasting your time, wasting energy. You understand? I'm like, no, my heart is, this is what I want. And my dad being an old school or old-fashioned kind of man, I'm sorry to say, you know, we fought and everything.
Because of time. I know the story is a long one.
Yeah.
So walk us straight to what happened there.
I was in the VI, Victoria Island. I was stranded, actually. I was looking for a job. It was very hard for me. I was sleeping on the streets, beside Silverbird Galleria, after Sabo Points, on the ground, like, all hope was lost. So I was very hungry. This was what led to this story. And I knew there was an event center somewhere where I do go weekends. At times the bouncer might chase me out, like, get out. And sometimes I might just get in and see one or two to just survive, because I know I can't steal. So that day I was walking into the event center, and I saw those cap wear, those chef wear on their head to cover their hair and all. I pick it up and I use it as a disguise to get through the bouncers. So those bouncers thought I was one of the workers serving food inside the hall. So one of them was like, you haven't given him Fanta. I was like, okay, I'm coming back, don't worry, sir. Me just trying to play along just to get in. So I get into the main hall, which is the compound, but I can't get access into the main event hall. So I was just there like, oh God. So I saw one of their crew members went to the back to get 2 sachets of bottled water. So he was lazy on carrying it. He was just slugging and okay, let me just help you, sir. I said, oh, thank you. I took it up, went through the back door. I passed through the other bouncer. The other bouncer was thinking I was part of the workers that came to come work there to serve food. Me getting into the event, I'm like, oh, Jesus, wow, thank God. I look at my left, I saw they were dishing out food. I'm like, Jesus, what I came for is actually real. I'm like, whoa, I'm not leaving anymore, because anytime they make me get out of here, I don't have an access card to get in. I'm like, okay, fine. I stayed there, was just enjoying the moments and the event and all. While in the event, I noticed people were playing games and trivias and questions and all. We're winning cash prizes. I'm like, whoa, this is really great. But I was looking
So
weird.
because of time, that's how you found yourself on stage. We have just 30 minutes.
Okay,
30 seconds,
I was actually dancing, and I never knew. So the MC was like, okay, the last game, if you can dance, come up. I never wanted to go. But someone just pushed me, like, go on, you've been dancing since. I just went. When I got on the stage, the MC was like, oh, make a jest of me, like I left it. So when they said, okay, Michael Jackson sound now, whoever pops up, and I don't duke with my dance. I do my thing.
So you had danced before you actually did the freestyle?
Yeah.
I danced in the hall already. All those were intervals.
So you were not even one of the artists scheduled to perform?
I was not even scheduled for anything. I went there to...
Have you always had that freestyle rhymes prepared?
No, anywhere. I dance anywhere. It liberates me.
So the long story cut short is the fact that you danced, you performed, and then... I
danced, then they said, okay, we should...
No, we don't have so much time. So you danced, you performed, and then...
just perform with the hair's insurance. So I just cooked up some rhymes due to as a dancer.
And that's how
right there.
Right there. And it came up, and at first I thought it was a pastor. I'm like, I was just shivering.
You didn't even know him?
I didn't know him. When he got in, I was like, oh, David Oyedepo, wow, I've seen him. That was just in my mind, because the MC was saying, my father, sir. So I was thinking, this is the man of God.
Day, I'm so sorry. We wish we had more time to talk to you.
Before we go, he has to do a freestyle with channels.
Okay.
You have to do a freestyle. I'll give you beats now. Are you ready?
I'm
1,
ready.
2,
So he won a prize
go.
and everything.
Okay, you want me to sing?
Yeah, freestyle. Okay, with this show, yeah.
Yeah, Channels TV, they're the best in the world. When you see the TV, just chill. Premiering news, breaking news, information, steady news.
No, it's okay. You won.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toby, that's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're a teller.
Thank you so much. Wish you the very best. And we hope that you put the resources or the monies that are given to you to bless you. And your life will never remain the same. Thank you so much. That's it on the program. Thanks for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Bye-bye.
Of course, we'll be back again tomorrow. Don't forget Sunrise Daily is up next. I am Bwala Koka.
So stay with us on Channels. Sunrise Daily is next. I'm Kayode Okikele. Goodbye.